Ég ætla nú bara rétt að opna fundin, heyriði í mér? Heyriði í mér, fínt er. Ég ætla bara að segja örfá orð fyrir þá sem ekki þekkja uppbyggingarsjóð EES. Þá þetta fyrirbæri sem við höfum verið að taka þátt í og standa að Ísland, Noregur og Liechtenstein frá því við byrjuðum EES samstarfið. Þetta hefur verið hluti af samstarfi okkar innan EES samningsins, innan samningsins. Við teljum, ástæðan svo að við teljum tvímælalaust ávinning fyrir þetta stóra markaðssvæði í heild að það sé dregið úr félagslegu og efnahagslegu misræmi innan þess og þetta verði nú markaðssvæði sem að þrífst og hagvöxtur eykst. Við erum að hefja núna hefja framkvæmd á nýju tímabili 2014 til 2021 og þó að segja 2014 þá erum við samt sem aðra að byrja núna vegna þess að þetta tekur allt langan tíma í undirbúningi, samningar við ríkin og útfærsla á öllum þessum áætlunum sem eru margar. Uppbyggingarsjóðurinn hefur skapað umhverfi undanfarin ár sem styður við þekkingarmiðlun og samstarf milli viðtökuríkjanna sem núna eru 15 talsins og EES-EFTA-ríkjanna 3. Það er alveg óhætt að segja að íslenskir aðilar hafa tekið mjög vel við sér og verið mjög aktífir í þessum sjóði hingað til. Við vorum á seinasta tímabili sjóðsins sem var frá 2009 til 2014 með 185 íslenska aðila í 460 verkefnum í 15 löndum. Og þetta er nú þó nokkuð. Hins vegar á þessu tímabili þá erum við að sjá aukna áherslu á nýsköpun og viðskiptaþróun í blárri og grænni tækni og það þess vegna sem við viljum vekja athygli á því og lyfta þessum málaflokki upp. Við erum með nýsköpun og viðskiptaþróun og tæki fyrir lítil og meðalstór fyrirtæki í áætlunum innan 4 ríkja og ég benti þessa Annelísi sem okkar heiðursgestur, the honorary guest á fundinum, fari aðeins yfir það, en þessi ríki eru Grikkland, Portúgal, Rúmenía og Slóvakía. Við erum að gera sérstakt átak þess að kynna betur þennan sjóð í utanríkisráðuneytinu og erum að vinna með fjölda aðila hérlendis. Orkustofnun og Rannís hafa verið okkar umsýsluaðilar hérna á Íslandi. En við erum búin að bæta samstarfsaðilum í hópinn sem eru Íslandsstofa. Takk fyrir að hýsa okkur hérna og skipuleggja þetta með okkur. Háskóli Íslands, Sambandi íslenskra sveitafélaga, Matís, Háskólinn í Reykjavík, Nýsköpunarmiðstöð Íslands og Mannréttindaskrifstofa Íslands. Og við höfum verið að halda fjölda kynningafunda að undanförnu og við munum halda áfram að gera það. En það ekkert að vanbúnaði og Annelísa Ronjadal hingað komin til landsins frá Innovation Norway. En Innovation Norway gegnir því hlutverki fyrir hönd sjóðsins, skrifstofu sjóðsins sem staðsettir í Brussel, að halda utanum og skipuleggja nokkrar áætlanir. So Annelísa, gjörðu svo vel. The floor is yours. We look forward to hearing your description of the main call. Það var kalla opna auglýsing sem var að koma út af sjóðnum sem varðar Grikkland og það var þess vegna sem við notuðum tækifæri til þess að fá hana hingað til þess að lýsa þeirri áætlun. Við ætlum að byrja á því að heyra áætlunina, við ætlum líka að fara yfir í hvaða tengslaráðstefnur eru framundan, spurningar og svör í framhaldinu og svo koma fyrirlesarar hérna af einn af öðrum. Ég ætla að taka það fram líka að við erum að taka upp fundinn og allt efnið verður aðgengilegt þegar við lítum á þetta líka sem ágætis kennsluefni til þess að fara yfir fyrir aðila sem bæði eru staðsettir hérna og líka hafa ekki haft tök á að mæta fundinn. Takk fyrir.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you to Rund and to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and their partners for inviting me to Iceland and to make this presentation of the Business Innovation Greece program, but also to talk a little bit about the other programs that Innovation Norway is the fund operator for, or involved as a program partner. And let me first see if I can find my presentation. It will be a long intervention since I will have several feats or several things to present. So prepare. Okay, so I am not sure what Rund said, but you said a few things about Innovation Norway as well, I think. So let's go directly into this business development, innovation, and SMEs, which is the thematic area within the EA Norway grants, focusing on business development. So these programs, or the areas called business development, innovation, and SMEs, is the only focus area within the EA Norway grants, focusing or targeting private sector business development. So how many of you are from private sector in Iceland? Good, very good. So I will first then give you details about the Business Innovation Greece program, because this is just now launched. The call is launched, is open. So this is a real opportunity that we hope that some Icelandic companies or research institutions will actually take this opportunity to be involved in projects. First, I will give a general introduction to the program, then talk more specifically about the call that is open for Greece. After that, I will also talk about some practical issues and where to find application form, our website, what are the mandatory documents, etc. I will say a few words about the other programs that are relevant for businesses where Innovation Norway is involved. And at the end, also a few words about the business matchmaking event that will take place in Ålesund within the blue growth sector. And if I'm talking about something and you do not really understand what I'm talking about, I use words that you are not familiar with, or there are some other issues, then please ask so that we can clarify. All right, let's see this one. So first about business innovation, Greece. General issues. So when I talk about this program now, we also have a program in Romania, which has the similar focus areas, similar structure. So this, I will not talk about Greece, but we have a similar program more or less in Romania, but we are not sure whether or not there will be EEA grants available for that program in the next call. So I will come back to this. So let's focus on Greece first. So this is the basic information about the program in Greece, and as you can see, the overall objective is increased value creation and sustainable growth in the Greek private sector, in Greek private enterprises. This is important to remember. These are business development funds for Greece, not for Icelandic companies, not for Norwegian companies. But we have this bilateral objective, and we really want Norwegian and Icelandic companies or research institutions to be involved in projects implemented in Greece as partners. So you have to look for your win-win. Why should you participate in a project? Of course, there has to be a win-win situation for the Icelandic company as well. We are not asking for that you contribute without any interest in the project, of course. So try to look for win-win. How could you use these funds for your internationalization as well? This is what you should be looking for. We are looking for long-term business cooperation. We would like you to use the project cooperation as the first stepping stone for hopefully having a more long-term relationship with Greek companies after you have implemented a project. So try to think what could benefit you. So for Greece, the program allocation is 21.5 million euros. This is what we have to offer to Greek companies as grants, non-reimbursable funds, in order to implement projects. And we are talking about projects with a clear start, clear end, clear aim, that would not have been implemented without public funds. If a company is obliged to implement some changes, then we will not finance it. It has to be projects that would not have been implemented without public money, and it should be innovative projects, preferably. But innovation can be on company level, it can be on sector level, it can be on national level, or even on international level. So So we have different levels of innovation. What we are talking about, as you can see from the areas of support, is really the circular economy. And I do believe that Iceland, as an island, have a lot to offer when it comes to solutions to Greek islands, for instance. You have a lot of experience and probably a lot of solutions that you could share with companies in Greece. So what happened now? We try again. I don't know what's going on. We try again, yes. Okay. So we, what we really want to achieve in this program is we will like to encourage Greek enterprises to develop new innovative technologies, solutions or services, products, or we would like Greek enterprises to apply existing innovative technologies, products, services, existing technologies. Maybe this technology exists in Iceland, but not in Greece or not within the company Greece. So they could actually, in cooperation with you, apply a new technology in the benefit of the Greek company, but maybe it could also be in the benefit of you as a partner. So this is really what it's talking about, development of new technologies or application of existing innovative technologies. And then we have small and medium-sized enterprises as the main target group, but large companies in Greece are also eligible as an applicant, but private sector is the only eligible applicant. Public sector is not eligible, and projects that will benefit the public is not really eligible. It has to be, the result from the project has to benefit the Greek company. This is really important. Value creation, bring added value to the enterprise that's implementing the project. That is what we are aiming for. And we also need to keep focus on the 3 dimensions of sustainability, because as you know, every enterprise, they have an impact on the environment, on the economy, and on the social aspect. So in our assessment of projects, we will also have a focus on these 3 aspects, but of course, a project needs to be profitable for the Greek enterprise that is implementing that project. What do we want to achieve? What is the expected results from these projects that will be implemented in Greece? First of all, as I said, it has to be profitable for the applicant, for the Greek enterprise. After the project is implemented, we expect that it will contribute to increase the turnover, increase profit for the Greek enterprise, but also job creation is important. Then we have some environmental aspects in the projects that when we assess them, we would like to see reduction of CO2 emissions and other type of emissions to air, soil and water from the projects. We would also like projects that contribute to reduction of energy consumption. And then, as I said, development of technologies or application of technologies. We also encourage cooperation between enterprises and research institutions. It could be an enterprise in Greece, or it has to be an enterprise in Greece, cooperating with a research institution from Iceland, and one from Greece, or maybe only from Iceland. So this is a good opportunity for partnership projects. And as I already said, if the cooperation can continue after the project is implemented, this is really what we are looking for. Increased bilateral cooperation in the business sector in the long run. So we have 3 focus areas in the program. First of all, we have green industry innovation. And it's important to point out that this can cover all economic sectors. We're not talking about the green industry, but we're talking about greening of industries in general. And all projects to be supported has to be good for business, meaning profitable, and good for the environment. I will come back to more details afterwards. Then we have the blue growth focus area. This means that we would like to see utilization of resources from ocean, sea, coasts, river and lakes. Use them for business development. And And I'm sure there is a lot of potential for innovative business development in Greece within this focus area, and maybe this is also an area where Icelandic companies or entities could contribute with their expertise. The third focus area is ICT, Information and Communication Technology. It could be an aim or a tool for business development. So I will come back with a few examples of this type of focus areas later on. When it comes to program implementation, all regions in Greece are eligible, meaning that companies all over Greece could apply for funds. When Innovation Norway is calculating the grant rate, then we use the General Block Exemption Regulation as the legal basis. Oh, I don't know what's happening. Why is it like this? Try again. So the General Block Exemption Regulation is then the legal basis for the state aid calculation. So as you know, we cannot use public money, this is public money, to private sector enterprises. We have to follow strict rules, and this General Block Exemption Regulation gives those rules where we actually are allowed to give public funds in order to develop private sector enterprises as well. This means that we cannot say that we will give exactly 50% grant rate or 60% or 20% or 40%. It will varies from project to project depending on what type of enterprises is the applicant. Is it a small enterprise, medium-sized enterprise, or a large enterprise? Where is the project implemented? Different regions in Greece have different grant rates if we are using investment aid. But if it is, it also depends on type of project, investment project, training aid, or it could be research and development or innovation. These are different grant rates. So that's why we say, as a general rule, a small and medium-sized company in Greece can expect approximately 50% grant of a total eligible project budget. Approximately, but it will vary from case by case. All the projects will be selected through open calls and competition, and we have then launched the first call for Greece Innovation Program. And we will wait until we have a fixed deadline, and we will assess all the applications when we have them in-house in order to compare them and rank them and support the best sustainable and innovative projects. We will have 2 or actually 3 grant schemes in this program in Greece. So the main scheme is called the Individual Grant Scheme. This is the scheme where we have these 3 focus areas: green industry innovation, blue growth, and ICT. This is the main scheme, but we also have 2 small grant schemes. One small grant scheme is for SMEs. It has exactly the same 3 focus areas. It's also part of the call that is now launched, but it is meant for smaller companies that need smaller amount of money in order to implement the project. We also have one small grant scheme, which will be for soft measures. This is really a small grant scheme, and it is not launched together with this call. It will be launched later on. Next year is the plan. That will be more for business development initiatives, where also enterprises and clusters and business associations could be eligible. When you're looking for cooperating partners in Greece, you have to have in mind who will be the eligible applicant, which is then only private sector enterprises, not public enterprises. And they have to be registered in Greece as a legal person. The ownership could be Icelandic or from other European or worldwide countries, but they have to be registered as a legal person in Greece. For the small grant scheme, it will be only then small and medium-sized enterprises, not large. And for the, as I mentioned, for the soft measure, it will also be clusters and business associations. But please have this in mind when you are entering into dialogue with companies to make sure that they are actually eligible applicants. When it comes to project partners, which is you, it could be any type of entity, private or public, It could be for-profit or non-profit. It could also be governmental institutions. And partners, in order to be defined as a partner, you need to be from one of the donor states, which is Iceland, Norway, or Liechtenstein, or from Greece. Then we have this bilateral fund. It's a small fund on the program level. We will use it for different type of workshop or networking activities. Later on, when we have established or selected the project, promoters from Greece, we will organize workshops with topics that could be relevant for business development, and in these workshops we will also invite the partners that are partners in projects selected. It is not mandatory for a Greek company to have a partner from Iceland or from the other donor states, but it's a good opportunity to get access to new expertise or technology. So we are encouraging Greek enterprises to seek partners. We also have used this bilateral fund to set aside 50,000 euros for a travel support scheme. This is also open. It's published on our website. That the travel support scheme is actually meant to find partners or to actually meet potential partners in order to prepare and discuss projects together, joint projects. We have a fixed lump sum, meaning that we will give you 1,500 euros for a travel between Iceland and Greece, if you are going to Greece to meet some potential partners, or if you have a company from Greece who would like to visit you in Iceland, they can apply and also get the same amount of money. We are not to go both ways, but you have to decide either you go to Greece to meet a potential partner, or the Greek enterprise come to you to take a look at your technology or to discuss further with you. So this bilateral fund is twofold: the travel support, and the other part will be used for networking activities like workshops. Then you may wonder what's in it for you. Why should you get involved in these projects in Greece, for instance? Of course, that we all know that when people meet, new ideas might pops up. You discuss what's going on, what could be done together. You find new ideas or new solutions or new opportunities. That's why we want to encourage these partnerships. But of course, we have seen from previous programs in other countries. It's the first time we have a business development program in Greece, so we don't have examples. So the examples I will use are from other countries where we have been operating previously. And we have seen that there are many good partnership projects where there is also a win-win situation for the partner as well. First of all, a partnership has to be based on partnership between two independent entities. So it means that if an Icelandic company have a daughter company in Greece, they are not a partner. So it has to be an independent, legally independent company from Greece and from Iceland that can cooperate as partners. If you are planning to sell services, consulting services or other types of services, that's procurement. Is not considered to be a partnership. So it has to be, you have to contribute with expertise or knowledge or technology that is necessary for the applicant from Greece in order to implement the project. It has to be something useful or needed in the project. And you have to remember that if a Greek company wants an expertise from Iceland, okay, and you discuss what should be the contribution from the Icelandic, let's say, company or a research institution, you should sign a partnership agreement. We have a template for this on our website, where you describe the roles and responsibilities and also the remuneration for what you are contributing with. Then the Greek enterprise is fully responsible for the project. They have to prepare the application and send it to Innovation Norway. And if they are successful, Innovation Norway will sign a project contract with a Greek company So Innovation Rover will have the relationship with the Greek applicant, the company. Your role as a partner is directly with the Greek company. So you have to agree what will be your role and what will be the remuneration. And let's say if the Greek company receives 50% grant financing for the total project budget, it means that the Greek company also have to contribute with their own funds in order to get access to your technology or expertise. So that's why it has to be needed and desired by the Greek company in order for them to actually contribute and are willing to pay extra for the expertise you have to offer. So what we have seen as a good projects are, first of all, exchange of experiences and knowledges. It could be adjustment of a technology. Maybe you have a green technology or an innovative technology that one Greek company would like to get access to. Then you can participate in the project and help to adjust the technology for the Greek company. And then maybe you need some commercial contracts between you as well, in addition to what we have in the program. That is up to you to decide, of course, as businesses. You know what you need in order to protect your technology. And then, of course, we have seen several projects with R&D expertise from the partner side. This is also a typical project. But again, we believe and we hope that this project implementation will be just the first stepping stone for a future long-term cooperation.
Sorry, we have sort of computers.
Sorry.
So that's since it's teasing us. It was all okay last night, and crucial moment as always. So let's swap over to this one here.
Are there any questions so far while we are waiting?
Yeah, Annelise, I was wondering if you could describe a bit better when you say, wouldn't that? How do you? It can be very beneficial for both parties.
Yeah. No, if is that if you have a service or technology or a product that is off the shelf, you just procure it, it's ready made, then it's procurement, of course. But if there is a solution that is working well in Iceland in the setting, but it needs adoption in order to be used in Greece, on a fishing boat or in a factory, then the expertise, the business development.
Is this the first one? Sorry,
Business program.
So, for example, if you have maybe some equipment and ICT, a software solution as well, so adopting the software solution to the Greek market.
Software is more complicated.
Okay. But if you have, for example, a combination of equipment and software solution, then you would have to adopt the software to the market, then that would be.
Software is a specific issue, just if we keep that aside. But if you have a technology, like we discussed, like for processing industry, for instance, fishing processing or something, or fishing, maybe you have a solution on how to use waste, fishing nets or whatever it is. I mean, this solution, if it is ready, you just purchase it and install it in your company, then it's procurement. But if it really needs some adjustment, you need to know the setting of where you're going to implement this technology. You need to discuss. It's a lot of work going to and from in order to adapt it to the new use, where the owner of the solution needs to be involved in order to share knowledge and expertise. This is how this is what we assess. Is it really something development, some adjustments going on, or is it off the shelf more or less?
Can you explain why software is difficult?
We have the ICT as of course there might be an ICT small component within other projects as well, but for the ICT component, then we, thank you.
Please just use the arrows over here. Are we on the right one?
Which one? This one?
Yes.
Okay, only those.
Brilliant. Hopefully this will stop now.
Thank you. Now for ICT, it is important that it is really development. It has to be, you have to solve a technological challenge that is not yet solved, or a scientific challenge that is not yet solved. It has to be something new, because this is the only way we can finance ICT projects is as an R&D activity, and it has to be, all the activities within the project need to be eligible according to this Article 25 from the General Block Exemption Regulation, which is experimental development, the final stage of development of an ICT. So if you simply are using already known ICT solutions or tools and to put it together in a new way, that will not be eligible. So software programming, etc., will not be eligible. It has to be a technological or scientific challenge that is solved in the project. So far, we have, as an example from Romania, I think we got 25 projects or something on ICT, and only a handful is really eligible. It's quite complicated to find good ICT projects that is really eligible within this article. Okay, then we will try these arrows. Then I will talk a bit about the calls that is now published on Innovation Norway's website. I will give you the link afterwards. So the first call we have launched then for Greece is have a total budget of 15.4 million euros. We are always talking about euros in the EA grants. The budget is in euro, the payments are made in euros. We have split this grant in 3 focus areas, and we have an equal focus on the green industry innovation and the blue growth focus areas. 6.5 million euros is indicated per focus area. And this is the grant element, and then of course you have to add on the contribution from the companies. For ICT, we have an indicative budget of 2.4 million euros. And the deadline for submission of applications is the 1st of October this year. So it should be sufficient time to develop projects and also to find partners and to develop partnership projects. Then we have also launched the first small grant scheme, which is for SMEs. And as mentioned, it has exactly the same focus areas: green industry innovation, blue growth, and ICT. And here also we have an equal split on the budget between green industry innovation and blue growth, 1.5 million for each. And ICT has an indicative budget of 600,000 euros. Same deadline, same application form, same application procedure. So the only difference is that an SME, small or medium-sized company, they can apply under the small grant scheme if they want less than 200,000 euros as their grants. But if they want more than 200,000, they can apply under the individual project scheme. But it's really an administrative issue more than a practical issue. Important for you to remember when you are entering into dialogue with a potential cooperating partner from Greece is that you have to make sure that it is a good company, that it is an eligible company. First of all, it has to be a private sector enterprise, not more than 25% public ownership. If it has more than 25% public ownership, it is considered to be a public company and it will not be eligible. And it would be a pity if you have had a long discussion with a company and then you find out after you have submitted the application they are not eligible. Also, we say that 3 years of operation is a minimum for the Greek company, 3 years of operation at the time of the deadline. So 1st of October, they need to have been in operation for 3 years. And also it is important, we recommend you to actually do a Google search and also ask the potential cooperating partner about their, try to find out a little bit about their financial status. Because if they do not have the financial situation needed in order to implement the project, they will also be rejected. So that will also be really a pity if we have a good partnership project, but the company applicant, they do not have the financial resources to implement the project. So try to find out a little bit more about the company before you start a real discussion about project cooperation. For the small grant scheme for SMEs, then we say that they need to have been in operation for at least 1 year at the deadline for the application. So 1st of October, the Greek enterprises applying for funds below 200,000 euros has to have been in operation for at least 1 year. Except from that, it has to be a legal person registered in Greece. And any type of private or public entity from Iceland or other donor states can be partners. This is the maximum and minimum grant amounts. So this means again that for the main scheme, individual project scheme, an SME or a large company can apply for minimum 200,000 euros for a project or maximum 1.5 million euros. While an SME can select then to ask for 50,000 euros and up to 200,000 euros as well. But the large company cannot ask for 100,000 euros. That's only for SMEs then. As mentioned earlier, that the grant rates will be in line with the state aid regulation, the general block exemption regulation, and just as for the planning purpose, you can say 50% of the eligible project budget, accepted cost in the project budget, could be financed by the grant. And then the rest of the co-financing needs to come from the Greek enterprise applying for funds, applying for implementing the project. Of course, also the partners could contribute with co-financing. It is possible, and you have to agree with the Greek company on how you will do this. But the co-financing has to be in the form of cash, meaning equity from the Greek company, or a bank loan, or also some hours, if you have research and development, hours are also eligible as co-financing. Then I would like to mention, when I'm saying that you have to be realistic if you have a R&D project. Realistic in the way that usually we are financing experimental development, this final stage of adjustment of technologies or new product services in order to bring it into the market as soon as possible and to benefit from the business profit from all the project. In many applications, we see that R&D are defined as industrial because it has a higher grant rate, but very often we have to go back to the applicant and say, sorry, this is not industrial research, it is experimental development, and the grant rate is lower than for the industrial research. So be realistic, and also be realistic when you add the number of hours that you are planning to use in the project. I would also like to mention that there has been a discussion during the preparation of the program that might be a challenge for Greek enterprises to get co-financing, to get a bank loan. So there is an agreement with a guarantee fund from Greece, the Hellenic Fund for Entrepreneurship and Development, ETEAN. So they will operate, they have established already an independent guarantee scheme. So a Greek enterprise who applies for grants under the Business Innovation Program can also apply for a guarantee from ETEAN if they are asking for a bank loan. But it will be a separate procedure, but they will mention this in the application to Innovation Norway. So if we approve the grant, we will inform ETEAN about their request for guarantee in order for them to provide a guarantee for a bank loan as co-financing. So we believe this is a good opportunity for the Greek enterprises. Okay, then we are back to the focus areas and eligible activities. This is green industry innovation, development, implementation and investment in innovative environmental friendly technologies. We have had many projects in this sector in previous programs, many good projects, many innovative green technologies and profitable business development have been made, with partners also from donor states. As mentioned, it is covering all economic sectors. It could be furniture production, could be food production, it could be metal construction industry, any sector, but it has to have this green element. So either the Greek company could diversify their existing activity, or they want to increase their capacity, or they want to change their overall production process by introducing new technologies. It has to be a green element, green product, green services, or green business processes. A few examples, just to show you what we have financed previously. Green products. It was a Norwegian company who had a prototype almost ready for the final adjustment before test production. So they found a company in Romania, in this case, who they entered into a cooperation with, and the company in the beneficiary state, they then did this final adjustment of the product and did the testing, and at the same time they also upgraded their production facilities in order to become more green. So this was a green product, street LED lamp, and it was also a good cooperation between a Norwegian partner and a company in the beneficiary state. The second example, greening of business operations, was from the furniture industry. It's a Norwegian company. They were already producing furnitures in the beneficiary state, but the quality of the furniture was, it was actually the lacquering, the final process, that was not good enough. So there was a lot of waste. The production company, they had to do this lacquering over again. There was a lot of scrap, and they had to use a lot of lac. It was costly, and it was also not environmentally friendly. So through this Green Industry Innovation Program, they invested in a new lacquering line, integrated line, with a more environmental friendly lac, and the Norwegian company participated in actually discussion about what type of machine technology is available, what could be the best solution, and then the Norwegian company also participated in training of the staff. So this was clearly a win-win for both companies. I also have a third example. This was professional laundry. They were doing laundry for hotels and hospitals, and they use a lot of detergents and water, of course, in order to wash all these textiles. So then they introduced a new radio frequency identification technology. So they put a device on each textile item in order to be able to track exactly how many times they have been washing this textile item before. And by this, they can utilize the full life cycle of each textile item, and they reduced also their consumption of water and detergents. So it was environmentally friendly and innovative and profitable for the business as well. These were just 3 examples. Water. Then we have the blue growth. We have not had the blue growth as a focus area before in all the programs, so this is new. But we believe that there are a lot of possibilities, and also a lot of possibilities for good partnership projects between, for instance, Iceland and Greece. We have been mentioning innovative marine equipment. Maybe Iceland have several solutions that is not yet in use in Greece. Maybe this could be a possibility for cooperation. We can also support private sector enterprises operating within the port with different type of upgrading or innovative solutions, like ship repair. We cannot support the port operation as such, of course, because that's a public responsibility, but the private enterprises operating within the port. Green shipping technology is, of course, something that is important these days, including electrification of fishing boats and ferries. This should be an opportunity for, there are many solutions and technologies available, not yet in Greece, but outside in the donor states. Digitalization in general within the shipping, and definitely marine and maritime safety solutions, cybersecurity, solutions for LNG bunkering and distributions. And again, we're talking about solutions for blue energy, not production of energy. We cannot support production of energy. Not blue energy, not green energy, which is also blue and green. Blue and green goes together, but it's the solutions, technologies, business development, not the production of the energy as such. And of course, blue biotechnology. This is, look to Iceland, definitely. What do you have of solutions and technologies that could be transferred to partners in Greece, for instance? So there should be a lot of possibilities. You just have to find the way that how could you use these EA grants in your internationalization if you're looking for new markets or new clients or new opportunities in Greece or other neighboring countries in Europe. Just one example from, it was actually a company from one of the Baltic states who worked together with a Norwegian company. They developed this oil spill detection system together, and it is not now actually in use. You can see the picture, this box. It is in use on several of the coastal ferries in Norway these days. And these two companies, the Baltic company and the Norwegian company, they have also established a joint venture company in order to continue their cooperation in the future. So this is also a good example of something that could be done. Then we have the information and communication technology, and as I mentioned, these are two types of projects. Either a company will apply more ICT in their business operation, then this will be more like a greening of businesses, or you improve the efficiency in your business process. It will be new to the enterprise. Then we have, if you have an ICT company, then we are talking about really these projects that need to be eligible in line with the General Block Exemption Regulation as an experimental development. It has to be development of a solution that will solve something new, a technology challenge or a scientific challenge that have not yet been solved. Has to be new. This is important to remember. We have one example, or I have brought one example from a previous program. It was actually a software development company in Bulgaria who did the software part. It was a Norwegian company who actually tested this solution in their factory production company. And we had one Norwegian university who did mathematical modeling. So it was three partners working together, and the Bulgarian company and the Norwegian company, they shared the IPR rights after they finished the project. So they developed this green monitor who could actually monitor the production process. They can see everything that's going on, how much raw material you're using, how much energy, how much water, how much oil, and if there is a problem somewhere, you will see immediately where the challenge is, and you're able to fix the challenge with a very short downtime for maintenance. So they have actually saved a lot of resources and energy and through this project. Okay, then we have come to almost to the end of this presentation. So first of all, some advices then to you as partners. And as I already mentioned, it is important to be prepared. Now we have published a call on our website. We have published the standard terms and conditions. We have the assessment criteria. We have the guideline for the application form, etc. There are some documents to be read through. And we recommend you to read through these documents in order to understand what is this all about and what are the possibilities and what could be supported and what are eligible activities. Then we encourage you we would really like to see Icelandic companies and institutions as partners in these projects. We have very few so far, so that would really be an objective to have more Icelandic partners in projects. But it is important to get to know, take time to get to know the Greek company before you start to really discuss a proper cooperation. But of course you can use this first project as a stepping stone to get to know the Greek market, the Greek business opportunities, the potential Greek partner better, but you have to contribute with some of your expertise or knowledge in the project. If you have a partner, then you need to sign a project or a partnership agreement. Innovation Norway has developed a template, and it's the roles, responsibilities, and the remuneration that you will have that need to be described in this partnership agreement. When the application is submitted, it should be a draft partnership agreement, and if you are successful and the project will be approved, then of course you have to finalize the agreement and to sign it properly. So this is then, you can use the travel support in order to meet potential partners to discuss real concrete projects. And as I said, this is more on the applicant side. It is important to do at least some research to make sure that the Greek enterprise is actually eligible according to the criteria, and they also have the financial and technical and human resources available to implement the project, so that it will not be stopped by the assessment criteria, or they will not fulfill criteria and then it will be stopped. So please try to find out a little bit more about the company before you really go into details. And of course, the EA grants have zero tolerance for corruption, and this is also an eligibility criteria. Things will be checked. We are also able to do due diligence, integrity due diligence. It's called IDD. In those cases where we feel that there is a need, we will also do this on the Greek enterprises, the ownership. But we also have published a document, a guideline, cross-cutting issues and good business practices, which is on the website, and we recommend you to read through this in order to see what are the minimum criteria and what will be checked by Innovation Norway in the assessment. And of course, projects with partners will receive some extra points, and also more innovative projects will receive more points than less innovative projects. But even though we want high level of innovation and high level of partnership project, it is after all the quality of the applicant that they really have the resources to implement the project, and the quality of the project that the project fulfills the criteria, the objective of the program. These are the first things that will be assessed, and then if this is in place, then of course there will be added points on innovation level and partnership projects. And then, as I said, it has to be profitable business development, of course, because the Greek enterprise, they have to contribute with their own resources, so of course they have to believe in this project that it will actually contribute positively to their turnover and profitability. The program was officially launched 27th of March in Greece, and the call for individual project scheme is launched, and for the first small grant scheme it is launched. The deadline is 1st of October. We have had 4 information events in Greece. Now we have an information event here today, and we will also have more information in Norway. Travel support is open also on the website. It's easy, simplified application procedure. You apply online, but you need to have a written approval from Innovation Norway before you travel. First you pay your cost and you ask for reimbursement afterwards. And finally, this small grant scheme for soft measures will be launched next year. That's our plan, after we have finalized the assessment of the applications for the main call. Then we have one program email. This is the email address, where we encourage potential applicants and partners to ask questions in case things need to be clarified. So that concludes the first part of my presentation, which is about the Business Innovation Greece program, just to show you the structure of the business programs that are operated by Innovation Norway. So thank you. Then I will switch to another PowerPoint, if I can manage to find it. Are there any questions related to this? The general part? Yes?
You mentioned the Romanian call.
Yeah, I will come back to it.
You will come back to it.
Okay, so maybe I need your assistance. So the practical.
Yes, no, this is going to be fine. Which one is it? 3? Practical. The practical presentation. Yeah, not the one we need. But this just gonna since first. This one.
Thank you. So okay, so Innovation Norway use an electronic application portal. All the documents needs to be electronically submitted to Innovation Norway. We do not use any hard copies unless explicitly asked for it. So we have one program website, which is this one. This is the short link. So it is on innovationnorway.no. We have a website for all the programs operated by Innovation Norway under the EA Norway grants. And for Greece, this is the short link, Greece Innovation. On this site, you will find information about the call. It was opened 1 week ago approximately. And as you can see on the heading, there are different information available on this website. You have information about events organized by Innovation Norway. That could be typically matchmaking events. You also have information about each program operated by Innovation Norway or programs where Innovation Norway is a donor program partner, meaning Innovation Norway is an advisor to a program operator in the beneficiary state. Under calls for proposals, you will see all links to all the calls that is ongoing. It could be travel support and also business programs, and we have an energy program as well. Then find a partner. Under find a partner, there is an Excel sheet, a database where you can register if you want to, or if you have something to offer and you would like to look for a partner in Greece or another country. You can register on this this Excel file. There are already 150 or something companies registered, or potential partners as well, from many European countries, not only for Greece, of course. This is for all programs. But then we go back to the Greek program. So when you open this link, you will first find the call text, which is published in English. We will also translate the call text into Greek because that's mandatory, but it will be only the call text itself translated to Greek. All the other documents are in English and the program language is English. These are the mandatory attachments to the application. So the application form is online and there is, I will show it afterwards, but as attachments, in order to be able to submit the application, these documents need to be attached. So there is an Excel file with expected outcomes of the project. This is really where you have to identify, does this project fit into the expected outcomes and expected outputs in all these programs. So you have to select which outcome you will contribute to and what are the outputs. Then there is a detailed activity-based budget, and in this budget also the cost for a partner need to be included. Then it's a disbursement plan. We require, in general, it's made based on reimbursement principle, meaning that all the costs need to be generated first, and they need to be documented in a project bank account, and they need to be certified by an auditor. Then you ask for reimbursement from Innovation Norway on actual cost. But there is also a possibility to ask for 10% advance of the grant in order to get things off the ground. Project implementation plan and a procurement plan. What type of procurement will be in the project? What type of procedures will you use? Letter of commitment, this is important. We need a letter of commitment from the applicant in Greece, and we also need a letter of commitment from the partner from Iceland, for instance. So if Rannis or Mattis or a company is participating as a partner, we need a confirmation from the management of the entity that they are willing, able and ready to participate in the project and to contribute to the activities defined in the partnership agreement until the project is finalized. Because we do not want partners to withdraw from a project in the middle of the implementation. This is not good for the project. Business plan, you could be involved in development of the business plan, of course. That could be done in partnership. And then we have this draft partnership agreement that you need to agree and discuss with the partner. Of course, as I said, we have to make sure that the company from Greek is really a good company. It's not in bankruptcy. It has financial possibility to implement the project. It is has good reputation. All these things that we will check. We recommend you to read the call text and at least to read the standard terms and conditions. This slide is a bit old. I think it's updated now on the website. And also the project assessment and methodology. So you see on which items we put more focus. There is a weighting in the assessment grid. And we also have a glossary of terms which is published on the website because we, of course, the EA grants and Norway grants, they have a specific vocabulary that we are using, so we have tried to explain what we mean about the different phrases. So on the website you will also find this link, start a new application. Then when you have started, you will be given a reference number and you can continue an existing application afterwards. It is possible to work on the application together, but one at a time. But you could do this in partnership with your partner if you want to. At least you should be involved. This is how the application form looks like when you enter into the portal. In general, it has three columns. On the left-hand side is the menu, so you can see where you are. And we always recommend to fill in the application in chronologic order because information are moved from one section to the next one. So it's better to start from the top and to work through the menu. And in the middle you have the information box, and on the right-hand side you have some guidance. There will be drop-down menus, so you have to select the country for the project, where the project is implemented. And as I said, no hard copies. Everything is online. Application and documentation will be online electronically. These are the attachments. So in the end, you have to make sure that you upload all the attachments and that they cannot be, if they should not exceed these sizes, 10 megabyte per attachment. You will not be able to upload other type of documents. So then we have the validation. So there is no signature physically, but by validating and sending in this application, it is signed by the applicants. And there is a reference number that you should make note of, and you should also print the application form as such, or application after you filled it in, so we have it in Word after you have sent it to Innovation Norway. Then when we receive the application, 1st of October, we will start the project assessment. It is the responsibility of Innovation Norway. We will use our own resources, internal experts, and if needed, we will also hire external experts from the beneficiary states or from Norway, or it could be from Iceland for that case, in order if we need some specific expertise that we do not have in-house, or we do not have the capacity and we need to have more capacity from external sources. First we will do is to check the formal and administrative criteria. That means that the right form has been used, all the attachments are filled in and attached. It is not blank documents, it is attached, etc. And if something is missing, we have this dialogue with the applicant. The Innovation Norway will have a dialogue with the applicant, the Greek enterprise. Then we will ask them if there is a mistake, that they did not submit the business plan, for instance. So we do not reject an application because some documents are missing. We give them the opportunity to actually make it complete before we start the assessment. The second thing we will do with all the complete applications is to assess the applicant, the Greek enterprise. Is it eligible according to the guidelines, according to the criteria? And if they are not, they will be rejected at this stage. Then we are checking the project. Is the project eligible according to the criteria? Does it fulfill these? Is it within one of these three focus areas? Will the project contribute to the objective of the program? If this is not fulfilled, it will also be rejected. Let's say if the main aim of the project is to produce energy, it will be rejected because that's not what we are aiming for. But if it is, like an example, technology for production of renewable energy, then it is eligible. So this is the eligibility criteria. Then we have a list of eligible projects, and then we will start the technical and financial assessment of all projects, and we do the thorough financial assessment of the Greek enterprise in order to make sure that they have the necessary resources to implement the project and at the same time run their ordinary business. Then we will look at the technical part of the project. And is it innovative? Is it new? Is it green? Is it blue? All these technical aspects. And in the end, we will have a selection procedure. All the projects will be assessed and decided by Innovation Norway. Innovation Norway have a selection committee, and they will do the final approval of the projects. Projects that are approved will then enter into project contract, Innovation Norway and the Greek enterprise. And if the Greek enterprise have a partner, you need then to sign the final partnership agreement with your partner and to submit this to Innovation Norway as well. We will say that you should give us at least 4 to 6 months for project assessment. Then we have decision making. So the deadline for applications is 4th of October. Then we will continue with the assessment, you can say up to April, May. So you could expect to start a project next summer in a way. That's really the time frame we have in front of us. And then you could have a project implementation. Usually companies want to implement the projects as quick as possible in order to benefit from the result. But 2-3 years of project implementation is normal. Preferably not more. Then, as I mentioned, Euro is the currency we are using. English is the program language. Yeah, I think I have mentioned all this. So we require that the Greek enterprise establish a project bank account. So all transactions in the project should be to and from this bank account so that it is traceable. All payment claims has to be certified by an auditor. And also the co-financing, the cash contribution need to be put into this project bank account by the Greek enterprise. And as mentioned, there's a TM guarantee.
Sorry, the advance payment may be provided on request, so this is not in all cases. So this
Sorry,
is
once again.
when you say the advance payment may be provided on request.
Yeah.
So this is not in all cases.
Most projects or project promoter or companies, they would like to have an advance payment, of course. And in the standard terms and conditions, we say that entities of the Greek enterprise can ask for 10% advance payment when we have signed the project contract and they have proven that they have the co-financing. This need to be in place first. Then they could ask for 10% advance payment of the grants. Not 10% of the total project budget, but of the grants. And then it is also possible to ask for 20% advance payment if it is well justified, meaning that they have to order maybe some expensive equipment in the beginning of the project, and they need to pay upfront some of the funds. Then they could justify 20% advance payment. But so 10% is possible. 20% is also, if then justified, possible. But after that, it will be reimbursement of actually documented expenses. Yes? Any other questions about this? Not for the moment. Then I could say a few words about the other programs. Again, maybe I need some help from the expert. Maybe I can find it. I think I can find it here. From that picture. So, while we are waiting for some assistance, can you put this on the screen? Thank you.
Og við getum sett ykkur á aðgengilegt á netinu, en við getum sett inn sérstaklega upptökuna af fyrirlestrum.
No, fine. Okay, so then I will say a few words about some other issues, some other programs. There was a lady asking about Romania. So as maybe Rund explained in her initial speak, there we have EEA grants and Norway grants financial mechanism. And it's only in those countries where we have a business program financed by EEA grants, where we have the opportunity to bring in Icelandic entities as partners. So we have this EEA grants financing of the business program in Greece, in Romania, and in Portugal. We also have some in Slovakia. These are the 4 countries where EEA grants and business programs are hand in hand. For the SMEs Growth Romania program, this is the name of the business program in Romania, we had the first call last spring. We have received approximately 88 applications by the deadline, which were last autumn. Among those applications, we had only 1 Icelandic partner, and we had approximately 50 Norwegian partners. So this shows that there is a big opportunity for Icelandic entities to become partners in these programs. When it comes to SMEs Growth Romania, we actually have the situation that the first call was EEA grants financing. We also have a budget for Norway grants financing. So the intention was to launch the EEA grants first, and this is what we did. And the result is that we have many good applications under the Green Industry Innovation component, very few under the Blue Growth, a few but not so many eligible under the ICT. So what is the situation right now is that we are able to spend all the money on the Green Industry Innovation projects, but there is no eligible Blue Growth projects in that call. So right now it is a discussion between Innovation Norway and the National Focal Point and FMO. They have a meeting in Bucharest today, I think. So it will be discussed whether to launch a new call with EEA grants financing or not. So we do not know right for the moment if there will be a call including EEA grants in the future in Romania. But we will know during May. Then it will be published on our website. So we recommend you to look up the website and check. Because if there are EEA grants financing, then there is still an opportunity for Icelandic companies to participate. But in Romania we have exactly the same focus areas as for Greece, and the same procedure will be applied. But in case there is EEA grants, please look up the website during May. Then we have Portugal, yeah. There is a program called Blue Growth Innovation in SMEs. That is the name of the program, business program in Portugal. Approximately 70% of the funds will be for private sector business development. This program is mature and the call for proposal is expected during May. We have a few little bit of information on Innovation Norway website, but we recommend you to look up the website of the program operator, which is an entity in Portugal, and the address is on this link. Then we have for the Slovakia Business Development Innovation and SMEs program. And this is not so mature yet. The estimated timing for the call is in the autumn, so it's not very defined. And the program operator is the research agency in Slovakia. But it is a business development program, so it will be research and business development. Then I think I have overspent my time, so maybe talk a little bit about this matchmaking event.
Exactly what I want to do.
So in 22nd of May, there will be a Blue Growth matchmaking event organized by Innovation Norway in Ålesund. And then it is online already, open for registration. This is the link where you can find information about the agenda, and also you need to register a profile in case you're interested to participate. In order to participate in this event, you should have at least an idea about the project, or you should know what you want to have to offer. what fields would you like to contribute or participate in a project. Then you should fill in a form online. It's a very simple form, just your company name and contact details, what type of entity, if you're a public or if you're a private or a research institution, what is your core business or core competence, and then project idea and partnership request. These are the elements in the online application. Very easy to register, but you should be eligible and really interested to participate in and to find a partner for participation in this one of these programs. So this Blue Growth Matchmaking is for all the programs having the Blue Growth focus area. So meaning these three, the Portugal, Romania and Greece for the EA grants, and then we have Poland and Croatia, but this is Norway grants only. But these are the 5 countries that will be participating: Portugal, Croatia, Greece, Poland and Romania. And then partners from Norway, Liechtenstein and Iceland. And if you are, when you have filled in the profile and submitted it, Innovation Norway will check it and ask you to update or improve or validate, say, okay, this is accepted. And if you are accepted, you will receive a travel grant if you want to. It's not mandatory to get the travel grant, but if you want to. So that will be 1,500 euros as a standard rate. You pay first and you ask for reimbursement afterwards. And then I don't have a slide, but we discussed yesterday that we are also planning a matchmaking event in Oslo in September this year. That will be for the circular economy, and the date will be announced on Innovation Norway's website under events as soon as we have set the date and we have a structure of the event, what will be the focus areas. But circular economy in general, which is very relevant for the green industry innovation component, those focus areas. I think that's more than enough. But if there are questions, of course.
Thank you, Annelise, for this very thorough overview. Einhverjar spurningar fyrir Annelise núna? Annars getum við líka fengið hérna Aðalheiði Jónsdóttur frá Rannís og Mjöll Valdor frá Nýsköpunarmiðstöð Íslands til að tala stuðning til íslenska umsækjendur. Viljið þið spyrja Annelise einhverjar spurningar núna, eða ég var að fá það tvær og taka svo spurningar á eftir? Ein spurning? Já, við tökum spurningar aðeins núna.
Just one question regarding the ratio of applicants. You said that it's in Romania with one Icelandic company, which is 50 in Norway. Assuming the quality of the applications is the same, does the process favor, for example, Icelandic ones because they're so few?
No, it does not. Because, as I said, it's the quality of the applicant entity. I mean, do they have the necessary resources to implement the project? Financially, technically, human resources. Second, it is the quality of the project. Does it contribute to the overall objective of the program and to the objective of the business program? These are the first 2 aspects that will be assessed. And then, if this is in place, then there are points given. If you have a partner from a donor state, you can receive up to 9 points extra. And yeah, so this is the way it is done. It's the quality of the project really first.
Þú varst með spurning Einar fremst?
Yeah, it's regarding the partnership agreements. Because the funding ratio for the, say, the Greek partners 50% possibly, they have their own financing. What is expected from the, say, EA country partners? Are they funding themselves, or are they being paid 100%, or is their funding rate 50%? Or how is it set up? What is the typical solution?
Yeah, let's say one example. You have a project, the Greek enterprise apply for a project. The total project budget is 1 million euros. 500,000 is investments, 300,000 are R&D, experimental development. Let's say the 300,000 R&D. This is where the Icelandic partner contributes. Let's say 100,000 euros is the remuneration to the Icelandic partner. So then we look at the grant rate for the R&D component, which is normally 25%. Then you can add 20% bonus if it is a small enterprise, 10% if it is a medium size. And if it is a real collaboration between the Greek enterprise and the Icelandic partner, real collaboration, you also get 15% bonus. So it's possible to get approximately 50% at grant rate. So if your contribution is 100,000 euros, the grant will be 50,000 euros, and the Greek enterprise have to pay the rest 50,000 euros. It's their responsibility. And you will submit your invoices to them, and they have to pay you from the program. So in principle, you will get 100% coverage of your costs. But in other type of partnerships, where you have a collaboration between two companies, for instance, maybe the company also want to contribute with some funds. It is possible. So then it could be. So you have to agree case by case how to do this. But in principle, you will get covered your costs.
So that's a very high barrier for the Greek company if they are not properly financed.
They need to want this expertise and technology, of course. If they really need it in order to grow their business, then they are willing to pay, I would say.
Eru fleiri spurningar akkúrat núna? Þú veist bara, ef ekki bara keyra áfram, þá samkvæmt dagskrá átti að vera kaffiné núna, en ef ekki bara ekki stemning fyrir bara keyra áfram dagskrána og þá að reyna að klára fyrir ef það hægt er? Er það ekki? Er einhver á móti því? Ok, það var aðliður og já, þú veist, Skal ekki mósa? Já, það er snertiskjár.
Hvað er klærið?
Þetta er Rannís. Það var örugglega að ná í mappunni. Já, uppi á þeim spísku.
Nei, þetta er kvöld alltaf. Hvað er kunnildur? Það er ekkert að þessu meina.
Einmitt. Svona, maður á ekki að láta kallmenn sjá tæknina, þið vitið það, það fyrir allt í vitleysu. Það er ekki vel. Komið sæl, ég heiti Aðalheiður Jónsdóttir og kem frá Rannís og Mjöll Valdorf.
Ég vinn hjá Nýsköpunarmiðstöð Íslands en fyrir Enterprise Europe Network sem er tengt við mig.
Og við ætlum að segja frá bara örstutt þeim stuðningi sem við veitum í tengslu við Byggingarsjóðinn. Og þá er það annars vegar stuðningu við sjóðinn sjálfan og svo svona almennt eins og þau gera upp á NMI, en ég læt Mjöll það. Nú, Rannís, við erum almennt séð ákveðin upplýsingaskrifstofa fyrir sjóðinn, vinnum náið með utanríkisráðuneytinu og Innovation Norge. Við kynnum þau tækifæri sem eru í gangi, umsóknarfresti, við skipuleggjum viðburði og í samstarfi við samstarfsaðila okkar. Og við stuðlum að þessu samstarfi milli EES-ríkjana og viðtökuríkjana, 15. Og síðan erum við svona, erum ekki að spá í rannsóknunum eða í nýsköpun eða í hugmyndavinnunni, en við höfum umsjón með þessum formlegheitum, þið vitið, svona, og jafnvel ef einhver vandamál kom upp, þá getum við kannski stokkið inn og hjálpa svona fólki að setja saman það sem það þarf að gera. Þetta er svona þessi almenna þjónusta. Nú síðan erum við með skilyrta þjónustu, við erum þjónustum ákveðin prógram, eins og þið vitið þá eru málefnasvið Rannís, menntun, menning, rannsóknir og nýsköpun og þar erum við sérstaklega með þjónustu við, eins og í ykkar tilfelli, sem þið hafa áhuga á, þar erum við með þjónustu sérstaklega við nýsköpunar áætlun í Portugal sem við munum síðan kynna fljótlega, en við líka svörum spurningu varðandi Grikkland. Nú, almennt aftur aðstofum við að finna samstarfsaðila líka ef að það þarf og sjáum líka að koma ykkur í þetta tvíhliða samstarf. Að þetta er svona almenn þjónusta, getur eins og segið, þú veist, ekki beint inn í innihaldinu, en allt þetta sem að snýrað utanumhaldi, tæknilegri aðstoð. Þar komum við inn.
Ég starfa fyrir Enterprise Europe Network sem er staðsett á Nýsköpunarmiðstöð Íslands og hefur verið þar frá árinu 2008. Við erum stærsta tengslanet sinna tegundar í heiminum með yfir 3000 lokal sérfræðinga, staðsett í yfir 60 löndum, ekki bara í Evrópu en bæði Asíu, Suður Ameríku Bandaríkjunum og fleiri stöðum. Við veitum fjölbreytta þjónustu og aðgang að ýmsum tækifærum. Ef að fólk að leita að rannsóknarsamstarfi, tækni við færslu eða reynum viðskiptatækifærum, þá reynum við að tengja ykkur við réttu aðilana á þeim mörkuðum sem þið að leita til. Varðandi akkurat einmitt uppbyggingarsjóð EFTA, þá eins og ég segi, þetta tengslanet alla Evrópu og við fáum oft reglulega fyrirspurnir frá löndum eins og Rúmeníu og Grikklandi þar sem eru þá aðilar sem vilja sækja EFTA-styrk og styrkur uppbyggingarsjóða EFTA en vantar einmitt partner frá Íslandi til að vera með og þá gott fyrir okkur að vita af aðilum, fyrirtækjum sem að vilja, eða stofnunum, rannsóknarstofnunum sem eru tilbúnir í að taka þátt í þessum styrkjum því að þá getum við bara tengt ykkur beint saman. Og við erum líka, af því að þetta það stórt tengslanet, ef ykkur vantar partner í Grikklandi þá getum við og eru að leita ákveðin tegunda fyrirtæki sem með ákveðnar hugmyndir. Þá tölum við okkar kollega í Grikklandi og reynum að finna rétta fyrirtæki til að vinna með einhver. Og það náttúrulega ákveðið líka af því að það svo mikilvægt að vera vissum að fyrirtækið geti staðið við þær skuldbindingar og komið með þetta mótframlag og þá náttúrulega okkar kollegi fer í þessa due diligence vinnu þannig að þið fáið sem sagt partner sem getur staðið undir þeim væntingum og skildum sem að ber. Það bara alltaf gott að tala við okkur. Katrín kollegi minn hérna líka að ef að það eitthvað sem þið haldið að við getum aðstoða ykkur með. En að öðru leyti þá eru við bara búnar.
Samstarfsverkefnin innan EES-svæðisins og erum með hana Bryndís hérna og kannski kynni við sjálf Bryndís og Matís og þá bara fyrir við að opna fyrir spurningar ef ykkur áður við lókum þessu.
Þetta ekki mitt eða það bara að ganga svo Já, var búið að setja það yfir á þessa töflu því ég náttúrulega hlóðin upp til hinn. Þá skulum við bara svappin yfir snögglega. Það sé með stikkið. Ertu með stikkið? Já. Þá skulum við bara gera það þannig. Svona? Eða viltu bara beint inn töflum? Bara beint inn töflum. Það erum ekkert að geta frekar en orðið Já, komið þér sæl. Ég heiti Bryndís Björnsdóttir og ég vinn hjá Matís. Og Matís sem sagt fyrirtæki sem vinnur við rannsóknir og nýsköpun á sviði matvæla, lýðheilsu, verðmætasköpunar og líftækni. Þannig að þessi kött sem að koma núna á þessum sjóði passa vel við okkar starf. Þetta er alveg að gerast. Og eins og Annelísi kom inn á áðan að í fyrra kalli sem var 2009-14 og þá tók Ísland þátt í nokkrum verkefnum en þetta var aðalega tengt mannréttindum, menningum og listum og voru frjálsfélagasamtök og stofnanir og svo var líka töluverð áhersla á jarðhita. Þannig að núna koma þessi fyrirtækjatengdu og markaðstengdu verkefni. Þannig að nú erum við svona nýir mögulegir þátttakendur að koma inn á sviðið og kynna okkur þetta. Þannig að Matís hefur ekki verið þáttakandi í svona verkefni áður sem styrkt af uppbyggingarsjóðunum. Við vorum hins vegar að fá núna styrk í gegnum þetta tvíhliða samstarf sem hún myndist á áðan og það er við Pólland. Þannig að við höfum allavega fengið smá reynslu í þeirri vinnu. Bæði þar sem að við sem sagt, í rauninni þetta skiptið var þetta hugmynd sem við vorum búin að þróa og pólskur aðili hafði áhuga á að við kæmum með inn í Pólland og við í rauninni sem sagt, áttum hugmyndina og að miklu leyti skrifum umsóknina, þeir aðlögu hana eitthvað að sér og senda hann inn. Og þetta er svolítið það sem er búið að vera að fara yfir með Grikkland og Portúgal. Kallið fyrir Grikkland er komið, við bíðum eftir kalli í Portúgal og við vitum ekki alveg hvernig verður með Rúmeníu. Og við gerum ráð fyrir það verður áhugi hérna á að fá aðila kannski sérstaklega tengdu bláa lífhagkerfinu hérna á Íslandi frá Grikklandi og eins og búið að fara yfir þá eru þetta styrkir til þróunar og nýsköpunar en ekki til fjárfestingar og þetta eru vanalega lausnir sem eru nálagt markaði og Annelísa er svo búin að fara yfir hver væri mögulegur ávinningur íslenskra fyrirtækja á því að taka þátt í svona verkefnum. Ég setti reyndar þarna hugbúnaður en eins og hún fór yfir áðan að þá gilda aðra reglur hugbúnaðartengd verkefni. Þannig að ég var beðin að segja frá verkefni sem við erum að vinna innan þessa svæðis þótt þetta séu ekki verkefni sem hafa verið styrkt af uppbyggingarsjóðum og Matthías hefur verið með mikið af fjölþjóðlegum verkefnum, aðalega norrænum og evrópskum verkefnum og þetta erum við að vinna fyrir hagsmuni íslensk almennings og atvinnulífs og það sem við sjáum að við erum að koma með í gegnum þessi verkefni er að við erum að flytja nýja þekkingu inn til landsins sem að hagnast almenningi og fyrirtækjum og við viljum auðvitað vera í fararbroddi rannsóknar og nýsköpunar og þarna erum við að halda okkur, við erum þarna í samstarfi við fremstu vísindamenn heims á sínu sviði og í flottustu verkefnunum sem eru til dæmis í Evrópu þannig að þarna erum við að halda okkur þarna í fararbroddi og þarna erum við stundum að koma með íslensk fyrirtæki inn í svona alþjóðlegt samstarf og svo erum við síðast en ekki og að miðla svo þekkingu út í alþjóðasamfélagið og svo erum við líka náttúrulega að sækja fjármuni sem að Ísland er að setja í alþjóðlega sjóði þannig við erum í rauninni að sækja tilbaka fjármuni sem að Ísland er að leggja fram. Það sem er öðruvísi við þessa styrki auðvitað er það sem ég ætla að fara við núna sem eru svona þessi verkefni sem að við höfum verið í. Það sem er öðruvísi við uppbyggingarsjóðinu auðvitað er að þar er það styrkþeginn í móttökulandinu sem á að hagnast fyrst og fremst af verkefninu. Á meðan að þessi verkefni sem að við erum meira að minna í eru þá að vera gagnkvæmur hagnaður fyrir alla í raun og veru. Þannig að það er svona kannski helsti munurinn á þessum verkefnum. En þessi verkefni sem við höfum verið í og þetta er svona til þess að gefa ykkur hugmyndir hvers konar verkefni er hægt að fjármagna og þetta er mjög breytt, mjög vítt svið af verkefnum og þið kannski getur svona mátað ykkar hugmyndir inn í og séð svona þetta trend sem er í þessum samstarfsverkefnum. En ég skipti þessu upp í 3 hópa eftir bara áherslunum. Fyrsta áherslan væri þá innihaldsefni og vöruþróun þar sem við erum að rannsaka rannsaka lífefni og lífvirkefni aðalega fókus er á heilsubætandi áhrif eða auka stöðuleika matvæla og þannig erum við aðalega að vinna með vannýtt hráefni úr sjó eða landi og þessir þetta eru svona þessi 3 hópar verkefna innan þessa og sem dæmi er sem sagt að vinna verðmætt efni úr þörungum og þangi og örþörungum og erum að breyta því þá yfir í fæðu eða fóður, fæðubótarefni og snyrtivörur. Við höfum komið töluvert að því að auka verðmæti á veiddu makríl sem hefur skilað miklum verðmætum til landsins. Við höfum komið að því að skoða og búa til standarda að gæðaeiginleikum fyrir fiskimjöl og lýsi og að auka samkeppnishæfni fyrirtækja innan fiskeldis, veiða og vinnslu þar sem hefur verið að búa til markaðstól þar sem að meðal annars hefur verið hægt að hjálpa fyrirtækjum við vöruþróun og við að kanna kaupvilja á mismunandi vörum. Annar flokkurinn svo köllum við örugg virðiskeðja matvæla, þar sem við erum að skoða öryggi matvæla og sjálfbæra nýtingu auðlinda, bæta lýðheilsu og auka samkeppnishæfni íslenskra afurða. Og það eru þá 4 flokkar þar og dæmi verkefni eru þá að þróa ofurkælingu fyrir fisk, aðferðir til að greina og koma í veg fyrir matvælasvindl, hvernig við getum nýtt hlíðarstrauma til framleiðslu á fóðri, sem búið til rækta skordýr á hlíðarstraumunum og nota skordýramjölið sem fóður. Við höfum unnið að lausnum við innlendingu á brottkastbanni, skoðað sjálfbæra framleiðslu sjávarafurða á tímum loftslagsbreytinga, hvernig á að bregðast við þessum yfirvofandi loftslagsbreytingum, þróað fjölstofna fiskveiðistjórnunarlíkön og skoðað veiðar á evrópska flotanum á hafsvæðum utan Evrópu. Þannig að þið sjáu þetta rosalega vítt breitt svið og það á náttúrulega við þessi köll sem við sjáum frá uppbyggingarsjóðunum, þetta tengt til dæmis bláa hagkerfinu. Þetta er mjög opið kall, það er hægt að koma mörgum hugmyndum þarna fyrir. Og síðasti flokkurinn er þá líftæknin og erfðaauðlindir, þar sem við erum að skapa verðmæti með því að þróa líftækni og hagnýta íslenskar erfðaauðlindir. Og þarna erum við aftur að hagnýta stórþörunga, ýmsar afurðir. Við erum að skoða hliðarafurðir úr fiskvinnslu og öðrum vinnslu annarra sjávarafurða. Við erum til dæmis að hagnýta veirur úr íslenskum hverum og erum í rannsóknum á örverum í matvælum. Annelísi svo sem tók dæmi verkefni innan sjóðsins, ég ætla ekki að fara yfir það aftur, þetta eru 2 önnur dæmi, kannski var TripTrap verkefnið það sem hún var að minnast á. En þá langar mig bara að enda á þessu, sem sagt að við allavega sjáum þessi köll úr uppbyggingarsjóðunum sem spennandi tækifæri fyrir okkur til þess að fara enn frekar í nýsköpunar og þróunarverkefni. Og fyrir íslensk fyrirtæki sem hafa áhuga, þá getum við verið samstarfsaðilar og tengiliðir inn í umsóknir og samstarfsverkefni á vegum sjóðsins. Það sem við sjáum kollega mínir 2 sem eru í dag, þeir hafa til dæmis tekið þátt í svona þessum matchmaking event í Portugal, svipuðum svo sem þeim sem verður í Álasundi. Lykilatriði núna er fyrir okkur sem ætlum að senda inn umsóknir að finna réttu partnerana og svona af reynslu kollega minna þá þeirra upplifun að Norðmenn þeir þekkja þetta miklu betur en við og þeir eru komnir töluvert lengra en við með að þróa hugmyndir og finna samstarfsaðila. Þannig að við þurfum að vera aktív. Þannig að ef við erum ekki nú þegar með góða samstarfsaðila, að þá þetta algjörlega fyrsta skrefið, að finna mögulega samstarfsaðila. Og við verðum í það minnsta að reyna að læra af og nýta þekkingu Norðmanna, þannig að við getum líka reynt að tengja okkur við Norðmennina sem hafa verið í þessum verkefnum. Jafnvel fengið að vera með þeim í umsókn eða eitthvað slíkt, í það minnsta að fá einhverjar upplýsingar þeirra reynslu af þessu. Ég held að það sé svona það sem við sjáum sem svona það fyrsta sem við þurfum að gera núna.